wondering what I'm up to these days. This might be a little bit longer video than normal because I have such a sweet story to tell you. And so you might want to get a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or a cold drink. Today is Sunday the 17th and it is somewhat overcast. You can barely see the mountains today because there's this huge cloud cover, and both G and I said it looks like the way the clouds are sitting on there is like the people in Parliament that wear the big white wigs. That's kind of what it looks like. So what's this? What is this? This is a public service announcement, and it does have to do with cross stitch in a roundabout way. So here's how it goes. This is my bike helmet. I bike quite a bit. I like riding my bike. I have a cruiser bike, you know, so it's I'm not one of those, gosh, that would be scary to even think about, one of those bikers with the tight little outfits on. No, I'm usually dressed in regular clothes on my cruiser bike, and I've got a helmet. And the thing about it is I don't like bike helmets. I think they're kind of ugly, but I know that they are important that you wear bike helmets. So I decided I was going to find a cute bike helmet. And I believe this is, it's made in America. It's, I think it's called Bike Pretty. I Googled it on the internet, cute bike helmets. And it actually comes in two pieces. So there is a regular ugly kind of domed bike helmet underneath this, and then this thing fits over the top of it, and it has a nice sunblock. Okay, so this is a channel, for those who haven't been here before, about cross stitch. So what am I doing with the bike helmet on? Well, the other day my stitchers, there's a certain group of stitchers that all we do is meet once a month for lunch. And that gives us an opportunity to really focus on each other's lives and not be distracted by our stitching, but just to have a casual lunch together. And we do it about once a month. And one person picks the next month's restaurant that we meet. So I had a dentist appointment in the morning, and which was going to take me to the next town over. And it was going to be about an hour and a half between my dentist appointment finishing and my lunch date. So I took my stitching because, you know, I can't idle hands. So I took my stitching because I knew there was a coffee shop right down from the restaurant that I could sit and stitch for an hour and a half and then walk to my lunch date. So when I walked in the coffee shop, it was packed and just brimming with people. And so I was looking around for a place to sit, and pretty much everything was taken. And I really wanted to be near the window for good lighting when it came to stitching. And this older gentleman, and I say older in not in a derogatory way, just to kind of give you an outline. I think he was maybe 5+ years older than me, so we're kind of in the same age group, but he was a little bit older. And then the shop was filled with a lot of younger people. And he gestured that I could share the two-person table he was sitting at. And it was right next to the window, so I was going to sit there with my cross stitch and stitch. But I am telling you, I had the most amazing encounter. And I think that's what I want to share, is that because I took a chance and then didn't get fused into what I wanted to do, which was cross stitch, I met this gentleman that made me laugh out loud. Now, as soon as I sat down, I said, thank you. I wanted to be near the window so I could cross stitch. But as he was talking to me, because I have, maybe it's not just because I have a medical background, but I could tell that something was different. And come to find out that he has aphasia, he'd had a stroke, and it was caused because he fell off a bike without a helmet. Which is, you know, I mean, it's so tragic, but at the same time, this guy was so amazing, and we spent an hour and a half talking. He made me laugh out loud because the way he worked through his process that was going on in his head was that if he was trying to think of what the word or what he wanted to say to me, sometimes he would have to write it down. So he carried a tablet with him. He'd write down the first 2 letters, and then it would come to him. And so a lot of conversation was done that way, where, you know, I was giving him a little bit of the history of the area because he was fairly new to the area, 3 years. And, but he was so genuine and so hysterical, just hysterically funny, the sense of humor. I was so glad that I could actually, that cross stitch led me to this coffee shop, and then I realized that an incredible moment was going to happen in my life, in my week, and that I could set my cross stitch down and really focus on the person across from me. And I wondered what the people around us, because it was a fairly small coffee shop, the people standing in line for coffee were right by our table, what they were thinking about, because we were belly laughing. I mean, absolutely belly laughing. And so he was trying to tell me something about a specific job. Here I am trying to get the word to come out. A specific job. And the way he was doing it was, you know, that actor that played in that movie that was a Broadway show and then was a movie last year or the year before. And so he was doing some descriptions, and then he was writing the letters down, trying to get to where it was, and he had written L-E, and I said, Les Miserables? And he goes, yes. And then he goes, you know the guy that did the job at the factory? And so then we're talking back and forth like this. And then I just burst out laughing. I said, look at us. You've had a stroke. I'm just getting old. And it's taking 2 brains to figure out what this job is. And then we both just laughed. It was Inspector. So I have to say, sometimes in life you just want to stop and look at a stranger and take a chance. It's amazing what might happen. And I can say that my whole week was made by that one encounter. And I'm in the next town over, in the middle of a big shopping center. And you know what? He lives in my neighborhood. How incredible is that, and how lucky I am. So that's my story for the week. Now we'll get on to the rest of the chaos that's been going on in my cross-stitch world. But my public service announcement is, wear your bike helmet. So now I got to take my bike helmet off. Isn't it cute? It's so cute. I'm so happy that I have this bike helmet. Okay, now, so what's been going on? Well, I have a couple of finishes. Well, one is not my finish. It's an FFO, but it's not my actual finish. A gal I met and knew, I actually knew her sister, but I met her on a buttermilk basin cruise. She passed away, and she was, you know, like we have, see, and this is something interesting to me because when I went to her home, she passed away, and her sister invited me over to her home to look at her craft room. It was a cross-stitch room. I had never seen one before, and so it was a cross-stitch room, and she owned a cross-stitch shop at one time out in Eastern Oregon, and so she had all the threads and a bazillion charts and all the linens, and she still had linens from other places like acorns and threads and things. But when she passed away, her sister invited me over there and asked me if I wanted anything. And there were 3 finished cross-stitch pieces that I was able to bring home with me. And 2 of them are at the framer, so you'll see them in a future video. But one was a tiny little thing, and it was so adorable, I decided to frame it to take with me south. So here is that. So you can see how small that piece is by the size of my finger. And I just love it, and I love that, you know, we're all gonna go to the great beyond, and there'll be people like me in the future who will love our pieces left behind. It's so delicate, and I don't know if you could see that there's a little bear paw right there. Isn't that awesome? So I framed that. Now let me just say, if you're new to this channel, there'll be no rhyme or reason to it. I have been doing YouTube videos for quite a while under the name Quilt Roadies, so I have that out on YouTube. And the reason Quilt Roadies has been going on so long is because I have fun with it. I don't make it a job or a task that has to be done, so there won't be any scheduled videos. It's when I get moved to do one or I have something to say that I make a video. And then the video itself has no outline or format, so just so you're prepared for that. It's like a squirrel running around in here. My other fully finished item is my Home of the Needleworker, and I wanted it in kind of a rustic frame. And I found this, one day I stopped at Hobby Lobby, and I found this at Hobby Lobby. And the problem with our town is you either go to a professional framer or you go to Joann's, Hobby Lobby, or Michael's. If you want to frame it yourself, our Joann's doesn't have a big option of frames at all. I mean, barely any. And Michael's has them, but not in the different styles. So Hobby Lobby is where you end up in our town going for framing if you want to frame it yourself. So what have I been up to? Okay. Let me just pause this video for a minute. Or maybe I won't pause it, because then I have to edit it, and I promised G he wouldn't have to edit these videos. So hang on for 1 second. I had to go look for something because you guys are going to totally crack up. Remember when I talked about the X-Stitch app, that I probably could use it a little bit more efficiently? And I had, on the X-Stitch app is a shopping list, and that was the shopping list that I took to, because I have my phone, I took it to Stitcher's Paradise, and on my shopping list it said I needed winter brew. And so I got a piece of winter brew, of course not knowing that Stitcher's Paradise really doesn't cut their linen up to little pieces. And so I got this big honkin' expensive piece of linen, and oh shoot, and at the time I said, with my luck, this will be for some little house pattern that I bought it for, because all I had was that I needed the name. Well, today I finished a project. It's not fully finished, but it finished. So I went to pick out a new project, and so when I went to my bucket of projects that are supposedly kitted, I found the next one that I wanted to work on, and it had all of the called for threads, but not the linen, and so I was wondering why it was in that bucket, and I went to read the pattern, and it was winter brew. So this is the pattern that I bought that ginormous piece of linen for. Oh yeah, this is a 5.5 inch square. Oh gosh, a 5.5 inch square. So needless to say, because I finished a project today, I am going to start this one. And now I have to cut into that stash of winter brew. I am doing it with all of the called for threads, and they are absolutely gorgeous. And I love the little saying on there. It's, I'm thankful for my daily bread and also for my cross-stitch thread. So I'm so thankful for all of that winter brew linen that I have. Yes. But it totally cracked me up that, oh yeah, I did not know that all of that was for a project that was 5.5 inch square. Yeah. What else have I been up to? Oh yes, I need to show you my finish. I tell you, we have no humidity here. I know those of you that are living in humid climates might envy us, but you look 10 years younger and your hair doesn't frizz out. Yeah. So I finished my scissors. Yes, aren't they adorable? This was on with the thread called Sanguine, and it is cocoa is the linen, and I think that this piece I might be able to do a second row later on if I finish this off really carefully, because I do want to use this on the top of a old wooden box that I found. But isn't that just so pretty? Yeah. And just so you know, you notice how wonderful it looks? As far as I've been carrying this around scrunched up, it's been rolled up into a little 6-inch Q-snap, and the reason it's not so messed up is because I use this flatter. It's something that I've used in quilting. It's not a starch, and it comes in many different scents, but I use the scentless because I have a lot of allergies. and it's an organic fabric relaxer. So it's by the Soak company, and it's called Flatter. Comes in a little spray bottle like that. So that's why this one looks so good, is because I use that Flatter on it. So I do have a finish there. You might notice back here, I'm so proud of this. This was while I was looking for the frame for my Needleworker. I thought I need something, and I didn't want to spend time building a rack out of particle board or, you know, anything like that. You know, those, I even asked at Hobby Lobby, do you ever sell those pegboards? She said no, because they have them, that's how they display everything. So I just wanted to rip one off of their shelving. But I found this there, and it's a metal display. It had little hooks on it, and I decided that might fit right there, and boy, I lucked out because it just fits perfectly on this wall. And then I took those rings and I put my floss into bags, and all my fancy floss I put by maker, so like the Weeks Dye Works, and I know I can add more bags on there, but like the Weeks Dye Works is all on one ring, and you know, the classic Colorworks is on one ring, unless I have too many that need 2 rings. And then I put those alphabetically. And then the DMC I have put by number. So the 300s, 400s, 500s. And I love sitting here and you know, it's like I don't even want to watch the TV. I just want to look at my floss. So that has worked out really well. And then what I found out yesterday, when I was looking at it, lovingly, I said, I think that's metal. And so then I was able to attach all of my needle minders. They just magnetically stuck on there. So, and my name tag from Fall Fling is on there. And then the little key that Gazelle Needleworks gave everybody at Fall Fling. It's just, I don't know. There's something about when I'm sitting back here stitching and there's a scary part to whatever G's watching or boring, you know, I get to look back and think, oh, my floss has my back. Yeah. Well, the thing is I've been trying to decide, you know, I've been watching, I've been trying to catch up because of the way our schedule is. I don't get to always watch floss tubes when they come out, and I'm sure you might not see this for a while, but stay tuned because I'm going to announce the winner. I should have said that at the beginning. The winner of Search the Skies at the end of this video. So I try to decide how I want to live my cross-stitch life. And I'm most fascinated by those floss tubers who have homework and agenda. I know that's not me. I know it's totally not me. I wouldn't be able to do it. But I kind of like this loose set of rules for myself. So subsequently, I finished a project, I get to start a new project. At the first of each month, I get to start a new project. And so I think that'll keep the whips under control. I have like, I think about 6 of them, 6 whips, which is really nothing compared to most, I mean, most of you famous big time cross stitchers, but for me that feels manageable and there's no stress around it for me. But I have discovered that I am somewhat of a compulsive cross-stitcher. That means, you know, if you ever see those dogs that are gnawing on one bone and they just won't give it up. Yeah, that's kind of me. So when I pick up one of my whips, it's like I fall in love and then I don't want to put it down. So I'm toying with the concept of making myself rotate. Oh, that just sounds gross. That sounds so not me. I might not be able to do that. But I do love, like I watched BlitStitch. He's kind of an organized person in some ways, and he had on his last video a chart that showed how long it had been since he had worked on something, and there was one in the middle that was like had the longest. It had been so long since he worked on it. I don't know if I want that visual. I want to be clueless in some ways. But that's the way I am. I'm very compulsive. When I pick something up, I fall in love again, and then I don't want to put it down. So I'm not sure how I will figure out a rotation so I keep my whips moving along. But since I finished the scissors, and I'm going to start the Little House Needleworks, of course, the first thing I have to do is cut a chunk off of that linen. Yeah. Oh my God. I decided that I hadn't touched my trees. And so this morning I picked up my trees, and I am now, this is the thing. Okay, I have questions. I obviously started this a while ago, way before I knew the cross-stitching world existed. I remember I got this pattern in France. You know, I mean, this is just 2 pages worth. This is 2 pages, and I taped 2 pages. There's 4 pages total to this, and just to show you a little bit here of the chart, I taped the 2 pages together so that first I copied the pattern. I taped 2 pages together, and then I have been using a pencil so I can keep track of where I'm at. Because all this thing is trees. Trees, 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 trees. And all in white. Which is very relaxing in between everything else because there's absolutely no choices. You just get one floss. And I'm thinking that those types of projects are like going on a beach vacation. You know, where you're feverishly running around work, running around kids, running around grandkids, doing. It's just like all those different floss choices in one pattern. And then you get the project that has one thread. It's like laying on a beach, no decisions. Yes, that's what this project is. So I am getting towards the second half of the second page, and it's all a white thread, and then I get to go on to a third page. But I started this before I knew about the cross-stitch world, so I remember quite clearly taking this pattern when I got back from France, 2 acorns and threads, not knowing that there was any groups there, and I said, I need, it's all in French, I need it, I don't think I need it translated because it's a cross-stitch pattern, but I don't know how much fabric and I don't know how much thread. And Janine helped me pick it out, and she definitely knew that I wasn't very creative. And so the fabric she chose was, it's a blue color. I don't even know the name of it, but I can tell now that I have entered this other world, that this is some kind of even weave, because I don't even need the magnifier for this. Yeah, I don't need the magnifier. I just need really good light. And it's one color of thread, and it's all DMC white. So I picked that out this morning, and I have my Paris needle minder on it, and it's a nice break. Although the last project, the scissors, was all one thread, and I just kind of powered through that. I seem to be somewhat rambly this morning, but just to tell you where I'm at, and then let's see what's else piled around me. And I decided that I need to start using my stuff, you know. It's kind of like we get these things and they're so cute, they just kind of stay precious in a box. So I had received this cute little thread winder with the beehive. I just love that. So I'm using it with this project. Renato, this is a Renato pattern, and they have an Etsy site, but I'll put that down below. So let me just look at my little notes here. So this week, the floss tubes that I've been catching up on the last 2 or 3 days, there's a wide variety, and that's the thing about floss tube, is that you get to whatever mood you're in or whatever your needs are at the moment. That's the floss tube that might fit that. Like, do you just want to be able to listen to someone talk while they're stitching, so you really don't have to even watch them stitch? You can just listen to their conversation while you're stitching, or are they a floss tuber where you're stopping it every 2 seconds to go look at a commercial site? Those are really hard for me, because it's like, stop the floss, I've got to shop. Oh yeah. So this week I've watched BlitStitch. He's also on Instagram, and he posts what he stitches every day. That's pretty, or maybe it's every day. It seems like every day, and his projects are like, wow. They're like big ones. He's not doing, I don't think he does the 5.5-inch little house. I don't think he does that. But I don't know him well enough yet. I've just been enjoying him, and so, and it's kind of fun to look at people with different brains than what you, that function differently than yours. It's like you don't want to hang around with yourself. That would just be freaking crazy. Yeah, that would be freaking crazy. But Stitch All the Things, she's just really high energy, and into the bag making, into the thrifting, and just living life large. So, you know. And then Roladex Stitcher is in Japan. And sometimes I just have to laugh out loud. But boy, is she a fabulous stitcher. Yeah. And I just, I kind of am interested also in those side stories about what's going around and why she's in Japan, or what she's doing in Japan, and what she sees in Japan, because I just like all that stuff. It's like Sassenach Stitcher, who's in England. It's nice to get outside your own box. And I was shocked to hear that my little town, the population is almost reaching 3,000. I mean, when we first moved here, there were 600 people. Yeah. It was, you couldn't get away with nothing. Everybody knew what you were doing. Yeah, and now we're almost 3,000 people. So it's good to travel and get outside your box and hear what people are doing on the other side of the world. Yeah, yeah. And then my girl Sambrie Stitches, she threw down a little challenge. I heard it between the lines about Search the Skies, and so come January, of course she'll get it done. That's the hard part, is that you need to stitch with a loser, someone that's a little bit worse than you. And so far I haven't found that person. If you're that person out there, let me know. Let me know. I want to be your bestie. And we can agree not to call each other losers. But we're going to do a Sal. Oh yeah, I'm dragging her into it. A Sal on Search the Skies by Waxing Moon, because she already owns the pattern. And so I think that will start in January. Because I'm hoping to get it done by December. She'll get it done by March. I just know her. But Sambrie Stitches, and Becca's her name, and we'll do that come January. And so I hope that'll be a fun holiday finish. And it's on a darker fabric, so I'll be in sunnier place in January where I can actually see that fabric. Yeah. And then another fun gal I just watched today was Lady RobynS. And if you have a hard time finding her, Robyn is spelled R-O-B-Y-N and then S. And she's up in the Seattle area, and it's just an Energizer bunny. She's happy about everything. She's like the happy friend you want. Yeah. Oh, let's see, what else? Before I let you go, before I announce the winner, I want to make sure, oh yeah, oh my gosh, I almost forgot. I almost forgot to share this with you. Oh, and everybody has been wondering about the light. So my friend Marion, the librarian, she goes to a library but never's been a librarian. She's the one that turned me on to this light, and boy, am I ever grateful for that. And it is, just to let you know, it's a Bright Tech Light View Pro XL 2-in-1, and I got it off of Amazon. And before I announce the winner, I have one more thing to show you. Yes, one more thing to show you. So the gal who stitched this, isn't that cute? That's so cute. Kathy. Her sister is a quilter. And I've been part of the quilting world for a long time. And her sister had asked me to give a presentation at her sewing guild one time, which I did. And she gave me this bag as a thank you. Now, that was maybe over 2 years ago, I'm thinking. And so I was like, wow, this is interesting. And then I brought it home, and then I put it in my stash closet. And then I forgot about it. And then last week, when I was talking through text with Marion, the librarian, we were talking quilting, and she wants to do a sew-along in the quilting world with one of Kathy Schmidt's designs. And I had all the pieces for that, and so agreed that I would start that quilting with her in January. But then I couldn't find it because it looked like a bomb went off in my sewing room, and I couldn't find it. And so I was like digging, digging, digging. And then I found this bag in the back of the closet, and I said, what is this bag? And I'm looking through that, and I went, holy moly, Batman, Floss Man, holy moly, Floss Man. And it was a thank you gift for doing the presentation. Of course, back then, I was a cross stitcher who did not live in the cross stitch world. So I didn't know the value of this bag. Starting in January. No, I think I'm going to start it as my December 1st start. Are for Erica Michaels' The Linenberry Collection. "12 Days of Christmas." 12 Days of Christmas. The 12 Berries of Christmas. There are 3 in each one. At least you think that's the only thing that was in the bag. A Cocoa 32 count piece of linen. You see how big this is? So this is a question I have. When you do those berries, do you not cut this up, or do you just hold the whole thing and stitch along so you know you haven't, that you're not wasting fabric? How do you do a piece this big? Do you cut it up for the berries? And then wait till you see this. All of the thread for the berries on a ring. It's like Kathy's spirit is right here. She knew that I was going to get sucked down that rabbit hole by Marion, and that I would need to make 12 berries, and I would need that I was attracted to big blankety blank pieces of linen, and that I wouldn't know how to get all the thread together. Oh my gosh, look at that. So I'm going to start these berries in December. Isn't that amazing? And it was hidden in my closet for a couple years. Oh, thank you, Kathy and Sue. Which brings me to one more question. So I didn't really know any better when I was cross-stitching. I just kind of was lollygagging along the cross-stitching world. So I don't know about those little skirts, those elastic things that people put around their Q-snaps, a little, you know, like you could maybe wear them if you were an A-cup across. You know, those things that I'm talking about to keep your piece clean. So I've been working on this thing and just rolling it up as I go. Of course, I'm not using a hoop. But do those things really work? Because I have a vision of myself stitching through that and having it attached to my piece on the back. I mean, it seems like it's going to get in the way. So what about those, those elastic things that go around your hoop or Q-snap or whatever that is? How do you keep from hooking onto one of those, Let me know. I need I am learning something every single video in the comments. It has been, you guys are a godsend to me because it's kind of interesting. I kind of go through the world at my own pace, looking at my own view, and suddenly I have all this new information. So tell me about those stretchy things. And finally, we're at the point of this program. Sorry to have been so rambling on who won Waxing Moon Designs. So send me an email, and then email links on the YouTube. Should be in the upper corner. You just click on there, my YouTube email is there, woolymammoth1@gmail.com, or you can message me through Instagram or message me through Facebook. But the winner of this fabulous design, Search the Sky by Waxing Moon Design, which Sambrie Stitches and I will be doing a sew-along starting in January, is, drum roll please, where's G when you need him? He could do a real guitar strumming. Is Karen Georgian Jensen. And what she said was, what an amazing parcel to receive. It must have made your day, and it did. I like to search the skies, mostly for a bit of light through the clouds, as Denmark is very gloomy at this time of year. And until next March or April, if I'm honest. So Karen, you're the winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I want you to get this as quickly as possible so you can prepare to do the sow with us, starting in January. That's it for today. This afternoon, G and I are going to go antiquing a bit, go out to dinner, and maybe I'll get a little more stitching in. Thank you so much for hanging out here. Thank you so much for hanging in for this long. And remember, that next stranger might be the most important person in your day.